Yeah, good. Alright, so let's get in here. Pull this up. Pull this up. I don't want it to be... So we'll go with ground, and we'll go new level, and we'll call it dragon. Let's start with the... That's where the end behind. Alright, so let's start with here. Let's go with autofill. Let's get some ground going. Let's, I think I want something greenish. Let's start with like a place for the dragon to land. So what we'll do... Something like this, I'm thinking. And I just like the way that looks. And then I can take... So we'll take all of these... Convert to linear. That way we sort of have that experience there. Good. We'll go here with it. And I think that's actually going to be really good right there, because then we can take this, we can go darker, and then we can take this and go lighter. Yeah. Cool. So if we snap is on, autofill and draw under is not on. So let's go with... How do I want to do this? Probably down like this. Yeah, and then we can adjust the color some. Because that's... I can already tell that's going to be way, way, way too dark. Yeah, way too dark. Maybe there? Something like that. So that means we're going to need a background, which we'll do for now. Autofill. We'll grab this color. We'll go with just a vague blue for right now. That way it's sort of in the scene. Yeah, cool. A little bit, what? A little bit lighter, darker, something like that? We'll go a little lighter. Okay. Go back to the ground. Okay. We can do the same thing here. I wish there was a way. There might actually be. I need to look into that. See if there's a way to draw. Okay, there we go. Here. Oh, that's could run rectangle. That's not going to work. Okay. Here we go. That's one area that I think it could use a little bit of... Nope. Right there. Up. We'll see how this goes. Make sure stability's good and everything, and then we'll post it over on Discord. See how it looks. Everything looks good so far. Excellent condition. We'll leave the pumpkins up for now. Yeah, we'll post it over there on Discord. Let everybody know we're live. Make sure it's... I want to make sure everything's working. Can I copy this link? I can. Copy link. Paste. Now that should go to the same link every time, I think. Should. Okay. So we're going to start with the... This is going to be the basis of the ground. We're going to need some highlights in there as well, I think. Work against that, but we'll play with that. Yeah, we'll play with that. Okay, so that's good for now. Now the idea here is I want to have a dragon fly in from left into here and have the mountain come up. So for now we're going to take this entire piece here, a little bit smaller. We're going to center it. And then what we'll do is as that dragon comes into the scene, we'll have that mountain appear out of the thing. And we'll have him come through the clouds, I think. Let's start on the dragon. And what we think we want the dragon to look like. I would like to go with purple, I feel. Let's see here. Sorry, I've got a big cat taking up all my space here. Let's go here. Yeah. Now, stop it. For the dragon itself, I'm not sure... I want it to be like a little baby dragon, I think. So I want it to be kind of cute. What I need to do is I need to come up with a system that sort of helps explain how I do vector in Tahoma. Because I've had a lot of people request that. That needs to be something I start looking at, like how to help explain that. No, that's not what I'm looking for. What do I want this dragon to look like? I'm thinking... let's have it go here. I really probably shouldn't spend so much time on drawing it. I should probably work on animating it, because that's going to be the harder of the two, but... I want the body to be kind of a fat little round dragon, I think. So let's try more like this. Yep. Try something like this. Alright, good. Now, let's give him his little legs. And then we'll just kind of mess with the vector points here. In fact, what we're going to do is we're going to go with a darker variation of this just for now, so we can see it. Let's see, this is more like the character design section, because I don't even know what I want this dragon to look like yet. We're going to go with an interior color. We'll go with like a sort of a cream looking. And we can have it sort of follow this, I'm thinking. Yep. Okay. Yeah, we can make that work. Could make that work, because we could easily sort of overshade. That's one thing I learned to kind of do to help with that. Okay. Same thing here. You see that? Kind of bring it out past that a little bit. And then, of course, this, we could just shape this to as big as we want. Now, what's that going to look like? Actually doesn't look bad if I do it like that. Let's move this over, because I just want to kind of keep this here for a second. Alright, let's try this again. So we're going to start with this basic color. And this is something I got to get used to in here. I want it to be sort of a little fat, plumpy looking. Maybe here? Maybe here? Hey, buddy, how are you? Yeah, man. Felt like streaming over here for a little bit today. I didn't really feel like going live on Twitch today, to be honest. Because I don't have a long time to stream today. And I just felt like coming over here and just doing a little quick stream. Just kind of messing around for a minute. I haven't been able to be too creative lately, so I've just been sort of... just sort of wanted to, you know, get on here and goof off a bit. Right, this one, that's the one we need to get rid of. Yeah, dude. How you doing? I like this. I don't know if I like the shape of this body, but then again, I don't detest it. Yeah, just kind of goofing, you know? It's funny because, like, the longer I'm away from streaming in general, the weirder it feels to actually, like, do it again. So I just felt like kind of coming in today and just messing around for a little bit. I've had a lot of requests for people that want to know, like, how to make vector art in Tahoma. And so I'm sort of trying to pin down what would that look like if I were to help people kind of understand that process. Not really sure how I want to explain that yet. So I'm sort of just trying to brainstorm on that a little bit. Because I guess a lot of people that use Tahoma, they don't use vector. A lot of them do raster. And so a lot of people are kind of perplexed, I guess, when it comes to using vectors in Tahoma. And I've sort of built this little system of using them, right? And it's, you know, interesting because it's like it's knowledge I have, and I definitely want to try to share it with folks. I'm just trying to make sure I do it in the right manner. Doing good. Got a bit of time off work and playing. Nice, buddy. How you liking it? I'm loving it. I'm sorry to hear that a lot of people are having issues. Um, I'm not really having those issues on PC, so it sucks for some folks, I guess. I don't know. I'm hearing that like console users are just. I'm hearing it's just not a good experience. I don't know what the truth is behind that. Watch those guys. Yeah, I'm trying to like how do I make this make sense? Because I mean, I'll be real with you. Drawing in this program is completely different than it is in like Affinity. It's completely different. It's like a 180. And I'm trying to better understand that so I can explain it to people. And that's something I'm kind of working on. So guess I could also, yeah, we could also cover brushes because brushes are a thing. Like if you know, let's try to draw this dragon with the brush. Let's just see what this does. Right, so you could definitely put it on snap, and I've got it on 1 right now. So what would happen if I took this all the way down? So you would still see, okay, and you could fill it, right? But there is currently no stroke, but you could give it one. Interesting. Okay, that might be the play there. Good looking on last gen is it, you know, and the problem with that is I kind of knew that it wasn't going to. In fact, I was actually a little disappointed that Cyberpunk even. I'm kind of disappointed that CD Projekt Red took so much time to try to make it. You know what I mean? For the last consoles, because I mean I get it. It would suck for people with last gen consoles, but it's such an aggressive game in terms of what they wanted to do. You know, and it's like I almost feel like they should have really focused on next gen and you know, but they wanted to make it and they did. Now they're just going to have to iron it out. They're going to have to get that experience patched out for people. The story itself, though, and the gameplay, really good. I'm enjoying it. I've had no crashes. I have had some bugs. I've had some weird glitches with some of the characters. I've had some issues with some of the vehicles and stuff. But the gameplay itself and the story and everything's been really good. I've had no technical issues with it. Been fine for me. Just the occasional crash out, yeah. And see, from what I'm hearing, it's like people that are on PCs, like with decent specs, their experience is completely different. Like visually and, you know, with crashes and stuff, like they're just not really there. But, you know, it's a big project. It's a big idea, you know? And to try and put that on older gen PC or older gen consoles, it just, I think it's proven to be kind of difficult. You know, but the thing is, I don't know. It's a mix. It's a mix. It's a mix, right? Because like, it's the game is so old. I mean, the game's been in development for what 8 years, and you know, so when that game started development, um, you know, those consoles were it, and so I think they just sort of rode that circus out. Can I do this, or is this not gonna work? Ooh, that might actually look really cool if I could make that work. I want to see something. Oh, that does complete. What happens if I delete that point? Well. Yeah, I can see both sides to the coin though, you know, it's really want that to work. What do I need to do here? Maybe like this? Oh, that's what it did. It added that. Okay. See, this is where explaining vector in this is going to be really tough. Because there's so many, like, little nuance. I don't know how I'm going to do that, to be honest. Okay, why are there so many points here? What was that all about? That was a little odd. Okay, what if we did this? This might be really cute if I can make this work. Like these could be the little legs, like almost like little stubbies. There's a big patch over the next couple months. Yeah. Yeah, it's, you know, it's weird. Like, I'm seeing a lot of people that are angry and they want refunds and they want, you know, I get it. I get it. People do have a right to be upset because, I mean, the game has taken as long as it has to develop, you know. And I think that people are definitely justified to have the feelings they have toward it. At the same time, like, for what the game is, now, me personally, I'm not having any issues, so I can't really speak for people that are, you know. But for me, the game's been enjoyable. The quality's been good. And outside of the occasional character issue, it's been great. Like, so but I do think people are justified in their opinions and their feelings, absolutely. You know, but I think some people are going to rush to jump to refund it, right? Or to get the refund done and then come back to it, which is fine. You know, they have every right to. Feel like this. That's cute. That's cute, but I don't know if that body's going to work. I'm glad you're enjoying it, though. I'm hopeful that people are enjoying it, because the story's really good. And the game itself is a lot of fun. Even if, you know, there's a lot of issues. Okay. Let's see what this does. Let's go with the brush. Now, that is interesting that it will go there. Right. I mean, it's CD Projekt Red. You know, I'm sure that they'll fix a lot of the stuff. I feel that, you know, some people are overreacting a little bit in terms of, oh, it'll get fixed. They'll fix it. Will it be fast enough for everyone? No. Some people are still going to be upset with the time it took to fix, and, you know, whatever. I mean, what is that? So, how would I make this look right? Would I have to use the brush and kind of draw this like this? Oh yeah, absolutely it did. There is no such thing as a perfect game on release. It's to remember is that video games, we live in a world where I saw this and it made me laugh because it was so true, right? And you'll probably agree with me on this. So we live in a world where everybody wants, you know, they want games to push the boundaries, right? Like people want next gen gaming. They want, you know, things to push the envelope, right? Does that make sense? Like they want these companies to go out and make these truly progressive games, right? Well, what they fail to realize is that in doing so, they're going to be trying and they're trying to deliver an experience that is, different than what we currently have on the market. And so in doing so, inherently they're going to create issues. They're going to create problems with their games, right, that need to be worked on. They're going to create problems by trying to create things, systems and stuff that we don't currently have. And you're not, I guess what I'm trying to say is you're not going to make something that progressive, that different by following the molds that are currently in place. Is that, you know what I mean? Like, there are going to be some issues that need to be worked out. And I feel like people kind of forget that. And they're just like, oh my god, this game's terrible. And it's like, guys, they have to test, they have to try, Now, that doesn't excuse, I'm not excusing anything. It's just, you want new things. You want these new ideas. You gotta let them try, But that also means that there's a possibility things are going to be glitchy and buggy. Yeah, it's weird. I feel like they're getting a lot of flack when people kind of know. Is that the brush still? It is. See, I'm not a big fan of drawing with that brush. People say they want innovation, right? But then when they innovate, people are like, oh my god. So it's like, innovation comes from change. And change isn't always going to be, it is not always going to be easy. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I don't know if I can do this without. That's why I struggle with this. I don't know if I can actually do this with an outline or without an outline. So I'm almost wondering. Okay, let's try this. Let's go with 2. And then fill it with this. Okay, so I mean, we could. That doesn't look terrible. Now, I'm not one that normally does outlines, but I could do it. Hold on one second. Let me check my phone. Yeah, but I mean, it is what it is, buddy. I mean, people are going to complain. People are going to. Okay, so we could do just a cute little face here. Oh, that works. Okay, so we could do new features. Exactly. It's like, innovation. Innovation is a risk. That's the thing. Like, when people innovate, they take risk. And that's the whole thing that people need to understand is that how many games have you seen come out, right? And it was innovative. It was one of those things where maybe it had new ideas, new features or whatever, but maybe didn't do well. Or it had a couple cool ideas, but the game itself just wasn't good or didn't take off. But that's the risk when it comes to gaming, right? Like, you try to innovate, you try to do new things. Otherwise, every game's the same. And the problem is that there's not enough innovation in the AAA market. There is in the indie market. Like, you see a lot of companies in the indie game studios that are really trying out different strategies, they're trying out, like, different ideas, right? Where AAA, they tend to just stay in that box. They're like, Grand Theft Auto 50 and, Call of Duty 100. Like, they don't really innovate because there's no real reason to, right? And innovation is risk, and they don't want to take risk. They want to create games that will sell. They're not worried about innovation. So when you see a company come along that tries to innovate, it's it's not usual in that AAA platform because they don't really innovate in AAA. And that's the thing I think people need to understand is that, you know, they're taking risk with some of the decisions they're making. Now, you know, did it all pay off? No. So you can control that there. Okay, that's good to know. But yeah, it's like people, you know, they expect that innovation, but then they don't know what to do with it when they get it. Or they complain that it's not right. And it's like, well, guys, it's not going to be right out of the box. I'm not sure this is going to work, but we're going to try it. I don't like that. I thought I'd like him being a little bit heavier. Kind of like the head, though, not going to lie. What if... Yeah, I'm just sort of goofing around today, man. I don't really expect a super huge audience or crowd today or anything. So I'm just kind of just having some fun and messing around and really come brainstorming on what to show people with the vector techniques like I was talking about. I've had some requests to make some YouTube videos on that, so I want to really want to try to pin that down. I think that's something I'm going to work on here soon. If I can't help some folks out with that. Because I get it, like, drawing with vectors in this, drawing with vectors, period, can be a little bit much if you're not used to it. You smell the rib Dad's cooking? Mmm, yummy, right? I can't figure out what I want that body to sort of look like on lean on. So you've got different styles. You've got no outline, you've got outline, which we could do either of them and sort of pull this off. So I'm wondering what's going to be the best way to do this. Because you could do this with no stroke. Let's see if we can't follow this and what this would look like. Because theoretically, yeah, that should work. So I found the best way to do this. Go like this. And then just kind of come over it a little bit, yeah. Sort of like that, I think. Yeah. So then if I were going to do this, just test this out. Let's go with a white for the eyes. We'll grab the brush, no stroke, autofill. I gotta check with your mom and see what time she's getting off tonight. Alright, good enough. So I think what I'll do, I think I'm going to break this down into two videos when I go to explain this. I'll show the brush vector in one video and explain that, explain points, explain adding points, explain that. And then I think the other video, I will explain the polyline and how I use that. Because I feel like they're both justified, and I feel like people kind of want to see a little bit of both. So I think we'll showcase them differently. And then I need to shading. I need to develop a really easy shading technique. Let's actually work on that real quick. We'll draw this like this, right? And then if I take you and I go over it like this. Nope. Autofill off, auto group, auto close. Okay, so if I do this and then fill this, the whole thing fills. Now, why is that? I gotta come up with a good solution for. Let's do autofill, auto group, auto close and see what that looks like. So then, if I gotta come up with a solution for this. Gotta be an easier way to do this. So we'll select this color, brush, and go like this. Now, actually, you know what? Let's go here and pump it up. There it is. Now, can I fill in the bottom of this? It doesn't work. Why doesn't that work? What if I ungroup this? Oh. And then stroke that down. Well, there it is. Because that's 0, you're not actually going to see that. And if I move this, the fill moves with it. And if I adjust this, the color moves with it. Okay, so that might be a really good way to discuss shading here. And then, of course, if I select the line, I could still pump. So it's all based off that line right there. Interesting. And I mean, that's close enough. You're not going to see what that is? Okay, you're not really gonna, like, you can't see with the naked eye how close that is. Like, I guess if you're really, really looking, you'd see it, but man, that's really close. Okay, so then let's test that out. So if I were to take an eyeball, or what would be an eye like this, let's grab this. Could I do, I don't want to do draw under. Let's, okay, so then this to the front, right? Yeah, so that would showcase shading. And then, of course, you can modify it like this. All right, good. That's good to know. All right, so that would work for that. Now, what about, all right, let's try this. I know I'm sort of all over the place, but I'm really trying to figure this out. So this, we would ungroup, correct? And then we would, if we wanted to shade the bottom of this eye like this. Yep, just like that. And then that, see, okay, so that line is going to be the basis. That might be the shading technique here. Now, the only weird part is you're going to see these little tendrils like this, because I have them turned on under view, I think it is, or what is it? Visualization, show lines with a thickness of 0. I mean, theoretically, you could turn off lines with thickness of 0, you wouldn't see them at all. So, like, if you, I'll give you an example. We go to preferences, and boom, there you go, see? And then you don't see it. So then it would just be a matter of doing this. That really does work. Okay. Well, learn something new every day. If we delete that point. And that's actually a really big deal because shading in here can be really, really tricky. All right, cool. So we'll just go like that. Let's actually experiment. Let's add some highlight to the other side of this. We'll keep all these colors here. We'll make a new color and we'll go lighter. And yeah, I could show autofill snap. Now, this is one of the features I like Jeremy added. Prevents me from snapping in like that. Cut. Okay, cut. And bang. Yeah, something like that. Alright. So yeah, that can work. Yeah, if anybody has any questions, let me know. I'm just sort of, I'm developing some ideas for what will be some YouTube videos based on this. Okay. Oh, that's because it wasn't, okay, I see. I see. Okay. Just do the same thing with the, here we could, or here? autofill. So if we, yep, we're just testing here. Yep, okay. So that does work, and then you can sort of get that 3D vector look, and then of course you can group this, so then you would have this as an asset. And then if you really wanted to, you could copy paste, I believe you could send the whole group. Yeah. So if you wanted it to make it look like this or something, sort of a 3D perspective, you could. And then, let's see here. Remove, whoop. Okay, good. I want to test something here. We'll go here. Let's add in, yeah, something like this. Yeah, we'll experiment with this a little bit. Alright, what could we do with this? This color needs to be up here toward this. We're actually gonna grab this and kind of turn it into a mouth, I think. But I don't think it's gonna look right because it's gonna match the color of the shading. Yeah, nope. Alright, so we'll have to rethink how we're gonna do that. Alright, let's actually experiment with the neck. Now that we have this. Yep, we have this now as one asset. Yeah, this is pretty... This looks like something I would more draw in like Affinity, but it works, right? Like, it makes sense. So if we were to take this now... Yep, so you could use that like that for sure. And then if we were to... Same thing here. Ungroup that. Take this. Ungroup the auto close, right? So with this, I could just go like that? No, why didn't that work? I thought that would have worked. What'd I do wrong? Okay, let's try it again. Nope. Alright, what am I doing wrong here? So this, maybe it needs to be grouped. Nope. Did something wrong here. Alright, so let's get this right. Go back to this color. Leave off auto group, auto close, auto fill. And let's test it like that. We're just, well, actually, you know what? We're going to test it in just this basic shape like this. And we'll go auto fill. And here, and here. So there it is. So it's going to have to be... Yeah, and it will follow that line. So then you could treat this pretty much like a fill or a stroke if you want to do. Yep, and then of course you could bend this line. Good. You can do this. Yep. Alright, cool. Yep. Alright, so that's the right way to do that. That's the right way to do that. English for fun. Hey there! Good to see you drawing vectors. Yeah, I'm brainstorming on some of the techniques I want to use to show for some drawing with vectors in Tahoma. That's what I'm trying to figure out right now. So I'm kind of going over like some key concepts that I would show and things that I would kind of explain to people to help them better understand the process that I use and the process that makes the most sense. So I'm sort of just kind of making some mental notes on the processes that I use, so I can make sure it comes across clear. Wait. So this can't be, so this needs to be off completely in order to make this work. Okay, so here. Yeah. So there it is. Then I can group this though, right? Because yeah, then it's groupable. All right. And then, of course, this can still be manipulated to create that sort of a vector shade effect. This, unfortunately, unless you don't want to see the strokes, that's an unfortunate part of that process. But it works, right? You just have to sort of look beyond that. Because you won't see that when you render it. See, when you render it, that stroke is gone. Okay, good. Yeah, just sort of looking at the process behind it, the way I want to sort of explain it to people, just messing around with some different little shapes and characters and whatnots. I think what I'm going to do is, for explaining vectors in Tahoma, I think I'm going to break it down into two or three different videos. I think I'll use one where I explain vectors in Tahoma, and then I think I'll explain one with the vector brush tool so that people can have a better understanding of that, and then I'll explain one with the Polyline or the geometry tool. There's no intersect, divide tools. Yeah, no. There actually is, but it doesn't work very well. The unfortunate part of that is, so I'll tell you what I know, right? Because I've talked to Jeremy, who was originally developing Tahoma. I know he had to kind of step back a little bit, but he told me that vectors at first in OpenToons and Tahoma and everything, they were sort of primitive in terms of the way that they were designed. And so there are some techniques for it, and there are a couple tools that actually do it, but they don't work 100%. So unfortunately, the whole intersect divide thing like that, you sort of, I don't want to say you're without them, but you have to think ahead a little bit when you're creating your shapes, because doing the shape-based things like let's say we were in Affinity, right? And we just wanted to cut this circle in half. Well, then we would just, boom, 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 done, right? And then we would just keep going with the manipulation of this, right? That's not really an option here, unfortunately. So you kind of have to draw with your ideas in mind a little bit more. But we'll go over a couple different little techniques that I've kind of developed to help make it easier. Not only that, I will showcase how to get this that you draw in Affinity into Tahoma. But I will also talk about a couple of nuances that it has, right? It's not seamless, it's not perfect by any stretch. But there are some workarounds, there are some things you can do. And I think mainly what I'm going to do is kind of showcase the way that I draw in Tahoma to kind of help people see that, like the process that I've developed, because honestly, the way I draw in Tahoma is different than the way I draw in Affinity. Like, they're two polar opposites in a way. Like, they have some of the same concepts, but the way I go about creating my stuff is different. And so I'll that's kind of what I'm doing right now, is like kind of formulating from a vector standpoint and from a software specific standpoint how to go about that. It's interesting, to say the least, but I'm figuring it out. And then you take, like, I'll show you this. Hold on. So I did this last scene for Glimish right here. When I first started drawing in Tahoma and OpenToons, this would have not been possible, like in a million years. But now that I have a better understanding of the tools, and I understand my art in Tahoma is beginning to catch up to my art in Affinity. Like, they're starting to become pretty close. So it's starting to it's just a different way of going about it. So then you take something like this, it's just a little bit different in the way that it works, right? And of course, when you see in the scene, you don't see the uncompleted shapes outside. Yep. Let's grab you, we'll go here. Why is that new folder there? I have to get rid of that. Okay, so dragon, this is easy. This will be easy to explain down here. And of course you've got the ground colors are easy to change there. Nice. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's been a, it's really been a just kind of a, people ask and I tell them it's just sort of a learn as you go thing, right? Like there are some helpful people out there for OpenTunes and Tahoma, but the thing is that it's still, even with that helpful information, it's still sort of a learn as you go thing. You just have to kind of like get into it and play with it to really begin to understand what it can and can't do. And that unfortunately that's where a lot of people get lost, is they don't want to learn all that, right? Like because there's a lot to it. There really, really is. Like there's a lot to this whole process. Okay, so that could work. That is one way to do it, which is very similar to how I would draw in Affinity, actually. The only thing with that is you're not going to be able to intersect or divide any of that out. But you can certainly pull off some diverse shapes like that. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll start with vectors, period. Vectors imagined. And then we'll go from vectors and we'll talk about, I think we'll talk about the poly tool first, the geometry tool, the polyline. And then after polyline, we'll discuss the brushes. That way we can kind of get a better understanding based off that. And then we'll get into like animating it, what it looks like to actually animate with this. Because something like this, I feel like if we were going to do a little dragon with wings, that'd be a good way to start that. And then sort of same thing over here, but smaller. Yep. Yeah, we're just doing a short stream today, everybody. Just kind of doing some testing here. I figured we'd do it live. Once I get a process for this, we'll... Alright, let's go for the... Like that. So that should come to the front, right? Or no, that would group, and then it would solve that problem. That's right, I forgot about that. Okay, so grouping at that point does have some merit. And see, that's something I gotta remember to explain to people. I gotta understand that. That's gonna be the hard part, is getting people to... There's so many little nuances when drawing in Tahoma. It's gonna be interesting to try to pass that information on. Glenn, what's up, buddy? How you doing, sir? Good to see you, man. How have you been, dude? Oh, sorry. I got this big fatty cat just sitting right here on top of me. Alright, lay down, Sammy. Stop. Good to see you, man. Yeah, that'll be the way to show it. So, again, all off, fill, grab, stroke, and fill. That's going to be the way to do that. And then, of course, this line segment can be modified. I'm good, man. I'm good. Just, keeping busy, keeping going. Not streaming as much as I used to, but, trying to find time here and there. Figured I'd go live today a little bit here, just kind of brush off the dust a little bit and do a short stream. I'm really working on some vector concepts in Tahoma, because I've had quite a few requests for people to explain like how I do vector in Tahoma. So I'm gonna try my best to explain that to people in some videos. Maybe it'll help. I hope. We'll see. But we're gonna get some videos out there and try to help people out a little bit on the men. Nice, man. Good to hear, buddy. Yeah, I've been struggling with the whole time thing, just trying to find enough time to stream on a regular basis, and for me, it's been tricky trying to find that time. Right, so I like both of these, but these are not the look I'd be going for. But they both kind of work. Yeah, it's been been busy lately with work and everything. It's hard to keep the pace. You know what I mean? But we can. But we can do a little dragon like that, and we can do. Yep. Okay. Good. So that would be a closed shape. Yeah, man. Good to see you. I know I was talking to Galen earlier, and I know he's talking about moving a lot of his stuff over to YouTube, I think. A lot of his regular streams, because he has such a big following over here. So, yeah, English, pretty much. Yep. The only trick to it is, and I'm not sure if this is the way that it handles grouping, but like if you have on autofill, auto close, auto group, watch what happens. It doesn't work. See that? So you have to make sure that you don't have those settings on at all. Draw your shape, close it, fill it, then grab the brush, draw your shape where you want it, and then fill it, and look at that. Then you get what would technically be a vector shade. And then if you go to the control editor tool, you can kind of modify where the line paths are, right? So you can move things around. So you kind of have a little bit tighter control over that. Not only that, you can come over here and, you can modify the colors and everything. But yeah, that's what I've found, English. That's the best way I've found to replicate shading. A little bit trickier, but it works. Now, the only caveat is right here. You see this? It shows lines with 0 thickness. I mean, that's just something you'll have to get used to, right? But when you take them down to 0 thickness, it shows them. Now, you can turn that setting off, but I like it on because of this. If I wanted to draw, like, let's say I wanted to draw a star. Let's just do a really bad star. I like being able to see where those lines are, even though they're set to 0. Does that make sense? Like, if you look at that right there, I like being able to see that as I draw it. Because if you turn this off, if you turn off show lines with 0 thickness, when you draw with it, you don't see anything. You see this? You can't see what you're drawing, so you're having to rely on muscle memory, which is not really going to be a good bet. So what I've found is just leave it on under preferences, under visualization, show lines with 0 thickness. That way when you go to draw with it, you see exactly what you're drawing. You see that? Even though you know that there's no thickness on there, you can see the shape. And then, of course, you can come in and modify it and everything. So, unfortunately, like here, you get that little bit of a drag over. But that, when this renders, you will not see that line because it doesn't there's no thickness to the line, right? So, it's more of a visual aid than it is, as long as you can see past that, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And that is one little thing I found with, with drawing in here. He mentioned that, yeah. Yep. And it doesn't really bother me, but I think that's, for some people, I think it's going to bother them a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I think they're going to sort of be like, what? Exactly. You can ungroup it and do the same process. So theoretically, what you could do is you could draw your shape like this, fill it, grab your shade color, draw it in, fill it, and then you could group the whole thing. And there you go. You now have a group. See? And the shade will resize with it. And then, of course, you can always ungroup it if you want to modify, where that shading is and everything. But see, as you can see right there, there's some issues with vectors. But it works. I mean, the process works. It's, again, as long as you can stand to look at these little overages. which they don't bother me, but I know everybody's going to be different. Because again, they will not render. See? Well, that one looks like it because it's actually dragged down there. So it was actually making a shape. But yeah, that's what I found there. As for the regular drawing, so I use two different things. Under the geometry tool, I use the Polyline with Autofill. The Polyline is probably like my go-to for like a lot of the main stuff. Because what I'll do is I'll do stuff like this, again with a 0 thickness, and then I'll take the tool and I'll make things round where I want, add points where I want them, manipulate. You see, do things like this, right? So it is vectors. It's just a little bit different way of getting to that final goal, I think. And I think that's going to be the thing with explaining these videos. I'm going to have to tell people when, at the beginning of these videos, it's going to be like, look, you can draw vectors in these programs, absolutely. But you need to understand that vectors in these softwares are going to work differently than what, like, your illustrators, your affinities, your inkscapes. Like, it's vector, but there's some nuance, right? So you need to understand that. And I think that people need to kind of, they really need to understand that. The overview, the alpha. Hey, Jim, how you doing? Yeah, you could probably do that. Let's see. So there's... Now, the only issue with that I can see is as long as you know where that is, right? Because it is alpha. As long as you know where it is when you draw it, that'll work the same. Yep. That works exactly the same. But this is the best way I've found to do this. Because otherwise, the only other way I've found to do this is, and it's not 100%, is if you want to, like, let's say you wanted to shade a corner of this with Polyline, you literally have to sit here and just trace the lines like that, right? I mean, which is doable. But when you get into your curve shapes like this, it's a lot harder to do. Like if you wanted to shade in this side here, it would be... And you could certainly do it. You would just have to kind of bend it like this. See that? And then you'd have to come in and just sort of make sure that it covers all the points that are necessary. So there's multiple ways to get it done. I guess the big thing is people just have to develop whatever works for them in terms of style and what they want to do. Good call though, Jim. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I don't know if you were here, Jim. I was talking about I'm going to start working on some videos for helping people with like drawing and vector in Tahoma. And just trying to play around with some of I'm trying to like get in my head what that's going to look like, right? For different people. And help them kind of visualize vector here. Because I think most people that are drawing in Tahoma or OpenToons are using raster. A lot of people are. And so it's going to be kind of from my perspective how I go about doing that. And I think the way that I'll do it is I will probably do a whole scene, sort of like this here. Because this entire thing was drawn in Tahoma, right? So what I'll probably do is start off with like the basics. I'll do like a little video series. We'll start with like what is a vector in Tahoma, kind of go over that, and then using the brush, using the geometry tool, that kind of stuff, and then we'll come up to the point where we make a scene kind of like this. And then I won't really animate said scene, we'll just kind of draw it. And then I'll do a separate, like how to animate the scene that we drew kind of thing. So it's probably going to be like a 4 to 5 part video series, kind of just showcasing the development up through. Because I'm going to go slow and make sure that I kind of explain the process to folks. Because it's a lot to take in, it is. And then you're going to have people who have never drawn vector before. So they're already going to be kind of like learning what vectors are, period. Because a lot of people, they get really confused when they start looking at a vector shape. And they're like, wait, how does that work? So there's a lot to it. But yeah, we'll get to it. I'm gonna start working on those over the next couple days. See if I can't have them out. Probably at least a couple of them out next week is what I'm thinking. and then through the holidays, and then once the holidays are done, I'll get back to them, kind of thing. So we'll figure that out. But yeah, I think I'm gonna jump off because I need to get some dinner cooking. But I just wanted to kind of do a test stream today and test this out and see how it went. I did. That was the mesh tool, yes. And I actually learned a couple things with the mesh tool. I'll show you real quick. The tree itself was the mesh tool. There's the mesh. So the hat, the tree, the ornaments, and everything were behind that mesh, all right? Now the eyes themselves were actually animated on the frames. So even though you're looking at the tree standing straight up here, the blinking is actually controlled by these two frames because the mesh inherits the frames at any point here. So basically I tell it I want frame 2 at this point, and it doesn't matter. The mesh controls the movement, right? All the frame does is say what frame is on. And because I have 2 frames, 1 and 2, blink and non-blink, there's only 2 frames, but it does that. It handles that entire animation, right? And then the fire itself was just, I don't remember how many frames that was. I want to say it was like 8 frames, yeah. So basically those are just hand drawn, you know, to look like fire, and then they just go in a repeating pattern. Yep. And then the shadow was just a mimic of the tree movement right there. Right. Not hard. And one of these days I'll get into explaining how I use the mesh tool, how I use the hand drawn, different things like that. We'll go over some of those topics, and I'll try to explain them best I can from my perspective. We'll kind of play with it. And we'll see, you know, kind of see what people want out of it. You know, it's one of those, it's hard with an animation software, right? Because everybody's at a different level of animation. Hey, Gary, how you doing? Thank you. You know, everybody's at a different level of animation. And so it's one of those, like, there's so many different concepts with animation. There's frame by frame. There's, you know, tweening. There's mesh. There's bones. There's, you know, so you kind of have to figure out where everybody is and kind of help them get to wherever it is they want to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm not really going to explain, like, different types of animation. Like, I'm going to explain them, obviously. I'm going to explain them from the point of how I use them, right? So that people understand the way that I animate is the way I'm going to do it. I'm really going to approach it from, this is how I do it, this is the way I do it, just in case you're curious. So, like, here's the style of animation I make, here's how I do it. And that's really what the videos are going to be sort of focused on, is leading people in the direction of the way I animate if they're interested in how I do it. You know what I mean? It does, but not on a render, it doesn't, Jim. The render itself looks good. But when you're in here, yeah, when you're in here, it looks pixelated. But when you render it out, it actually looks fine. Because, like, when I render this out on Twitter, I'll show you. Yeah, I don't know why it does that. I'm assuming the mesh, for some reason, turns it into a raster. I really don't know. Kind of weird. The only way I can explain that, Jim, is I think for some reason the mesh rasterizes it to make it warp. I don't know. I don't know enough about how it was developed in order to understand that, but that would be my guess. And to be honest, I don't use the mesh tool that much. I'm more of a frame by frame. So, like, when I've done, you know, different things like just whatever. Yeah, like, they look fine when they render to me. They just look that way in the program for whatever reason. I don't know why. Hold on, I'll show you. Like, here, take this for example. This animation here, there was no mesh, right? This is what my normal animations look like. I don't use a lot of meshes. Not a big fan of meshes. I'll use them once in a while. Most of my animation is frame by frame. So, like, if you take this big guy moving in, for example, all this was done frame by frame. But the method in which I use it is pretty easy to do. And that's what I'm looking forward to explaining to people. It's really easy to animate this way. once you understand how it works. You know what I mean? And then that's what I'm going to kind of like show people, like the lightning and stuff, how that works. Right there. Say, bang. And so I'm just going to, I think the way I'll show it is we'll create it. I'll start with like a basic animation, and then I'll kind of work backwards. We'll kind of peel it back like an onion. So I'll kind of go, okay, here's this happening. Here's how I did this. You know, here's the creature coming up. Here's how I handled that. You know what I mean? And I think it'll just sort of be a short how-to on how that works. But anyways, I need to get out of here. I need to get some dinner going. But thank you guys so much for coming out today. I know it was sort of a short stream. I was more theory crafting than anything. But look for some videos soon. I think I'll do some basic vectors, and then we'll kind of work our way into some more advanced stuff very, very soon. So look for that. And I'm going to be doing some other stuff like basic vector drawings with Affinity, things like that. Not just Tahoma, but I'll be doing some more. So, yeah, thank you guys for coming out. Have a great day. And look forward to seeing you again real soon. Take care. Bye.